The Detroit Lions have not scored in the first quarter all season. 6 games, 6 first quarters, 90 minutes of football, 0 points. Think about that. That being said, you know where I'm going when I'm talking about this game. When Matt Schaub lights you up in a regular season game that's meaningful, something's up. Something is up. And I don't hate Schaub. I don't think he's awful, but I don't think he's very good. And although I will say this about Schaub real quick, he's finding Andre Johnson. He didn't do that very well last year and to start this year, but he's starting to find him, starting to utilize him, starting to realize how great he is. On that subject, Owen Daniels is having a nice breakout season. He's been a guy that's just been a placeholder at tight end. He's coming along nicely. Steve Slayton is going to put up an argument for Rookie of the Year, even on that awful Houston team. Right now, I think it's going to be Chris Johnson, but Slayton should finish in the top 5. He should probably get a vote or 2. So this Houston offense, 2 wins in a row now, 2 impressive performances in a row now. If it wasn't for the meltdown against Indianapolis, they'd be right in this thing. Maybe that's kind of sad to say, but getting things back on track. And maybe Schaub can prove me wrong. There's still time. I don't need to go too much into how pathetic Houston played, but quick ups to Calvin Johnson for catching that 96-yard touchdown. He's a talent. I hope he can live up to it. If not Detroit, somewhere else. Yeah. And once again, I want to see me some Drew Stanton as soon as possible. Jets Raiders. Favre actually had really good numbers until the end of the game when he just could not stop throwing incompletions. I think his completion percentage was over 70% before this game, and it's starting to go to hell with games like this. It's just not that hard to see what a lot of these coaches do need, like a assistant that just tells them common sense. Common sense says that the Raiders have a talented secondary and can't stop the run, so you gotta ram it down their throats. They, ran Thomas Jones 24 times, and he had a great game. He had 160 yards. But I wanted to see more Leon Washington, and if you had to, you could have put out, I don't even know who the third stringer on the Jets is. Is it still Danny Ware? I think he went to the Giants, though. Brad Smith. It should have been a big... I think the Jets should have run like 40-50 running plays, honestly. That's how you beat the Raiders, because the Raiders, they're not terrible. If you get them the ball on offense, McFadden could just break out a big one anytime. He hasn't yet at the professional level, other than in the Kansas City game, but he can. Oakland was filled with penalties. They had penalties coming out left and right. Jamarcus Russell was very average. The running game produced very little. The only positive they produced was Javon Walker finally doing something, so good for him. Maybe he's still got a couple more legs left in the NFL. But there was no reason to lose this game. So, it was Favre throwing that interception in the end zone to, I think, Gabriel Wilson. Maybe it was D'Angelo Hall. I think it was Wilson, though. When the Jets clearly should have just been running the ball. I mean, that's playing the odds. Success is likely if you push through that. Offensive line not holding up. And this Jets team, they've got a very easy schedule. Got to take advantage of it. This is a good year for the Jets to make some noise. Don't let it slip away. Browns, Redskins. This Redskins team is starting to play down to their opposition most every week. It came back to bite them against the Rams. It did. They remind me of the 2005 Jacksonville Jaguars. That team was good, but they played down to their opposition, and it hurt them a couple times. It might have cost them the division, if I'm being honest. The Browns, they're not god-awful, but they're pretty bad, so... you really should be able to blow. That's a team you should be able to blow out. And I'm not a big proponent of using margin of victory to determine how good a team is. But playing down to your opposition is going to result in losses that should be wins at some point. And I don't know what it is. They moved the ball. They had 350 yards. They only had 5 penalties, which is solid. Portis, monstrous day. Campbell, conservatively alright. He's not putting up great numbers this year, but he's not turning it over, and he's making the right decisions. Defensively, I don't know if it was them or Derek Anderson. It was probably Derek Anderson, but Anderson completed 30% of his passes or something ridiculous. They kept Jamal Lewis relatively in check. They didn't allow any plays longer than 22 yards. So I don't know what it is, because they're moving the ball. They are getting the yards. They're just not producing the points. This happened against St. Louis too, so they gotta fix that. But 5-2, getting it done. And we should see this team come 2009 in the postseason. And Portis, check out his numbers. I think he could be the MVP this year, assuming Washington makes the playoffs. I think he'll take the MVP, even though Breeze might deserve it. The Saints don't look like a playoff team right now. Colts Packers. I've heard a lot of things from Colts fans. Dungy's mailing in the season. Manning's shouldn't have come back so early. Marvin Harrison is washed up. Without Ed Johnson, they've got no defensive tackles who can plug the run and do what they need to do. Secondary is leaving too many holes in the zone. It's all these things. Manning always just a little bit off. Completed 50% of his passes, had the 2 killer interceptions, both of them not very good throws. Dominic Rhodes played pretty well. And, Indianapolis was to some extent able to move the ball. Dallas Clark had a nice game coming back from his injuries. Gonzalez had another good game, but gotta find a way to get it in the end zone. That's the Colts that I know. The Colts I know would find a way to get the ball in the end zone every time they moved it. Vinatieri is, he looks washed up right now. He's looked like that for the last couple of years, to be quite honest. The defense looks pretty poor right now. Secondary can't cover anyone. They're getting pressure, but they're not getting sacks. They got no defensive tackle presence. They should go out and sign Ed. What the hell is his name? The ex-Raider, ex-Falcon, Rod Coleman. They should sign that guy. That could work. Packers. Rodgers, very solid day. The Colts like to leave spots in the zone open. That's kind of their weakness right now. And he exploited that, just like he did against Seattle. Ryan Grant, alright, pretty good game. He needs to get better, but it's a solid, but it can be used as a building block. Defensively, they had the 2 big turnovers, and they were hitting hard. When this defense comes to play, it's a spectacle. They hit you hard. They're physical, and they brought it on Sunday, and it was fun to watch. Okay, Monday night. I was headed toward a 10-4 week in Pick'em, which is great, but nobody told Mike Shanahan to prepare his team. After seeing what San Diego did last week to New England, how can you not just copy that game plan and roll with it? You'll blow them out. They can't stop that. They are helpless. They can't defend the deep ball. I'll be fair. Cutler injured his finger, and that was huge. Because without Cutler playing well, this team is useless. They can't play defense. They can't run the ball that well. They can't do anything without Cutler. Cutler's that team right now. But you're talking about all the stupid penalties that they committed. They committed a lot of stupid penalties. The stupid turnovers, the fumbles by Andre Hall, really, really bad. Couple of drops. The atrocious defense, but we all know that their defense is atrocious. That's nothing new. Disgusting effort by Denver, and I guess nobody wants to win the AFC West. Okay, that's going to be it for me for this week. I am out.